up, people? Hey, I always start out by saying, man, the band was great, and they are great. But during worship, I was counting how many people were up here. 9 people. Do you see this stage? There is no room up here. Listen, band, there's a day when we're going to have a real-size stage. Faith and Bing's over here like ducking under the TV. It's amazing. Anyway, hey, I'm super excited to be with you all today. Some of you, maybe you've never been here before and you don't know who I am. My name is Joel. I'm just one of the people on the team here, one of the pastors here. And we're so psyched that you are here. If this is your first time, I want to meet you. Like, for real, after the service, I'll be in the lobby. Please stop by and say hello. And if you want to come back for the welcome lunch, like Cotter said earlier, we'd love to have you later on. But we're glad that you are here today. You walked down 23 steps to be here. Come on, give it up for our first time guest. 23 steps to be in the basement. And before we go any further forward, I want to shout out my favorite online family person of all time. And we have their picture. We'll put up this next picture if we could. My mother. My mom is my all-time favorite online family person. And my mom is, she's been working for our church literally my whole life. And she's actually retiring today. Today's her last Sunday. She's at our Millsboro campus. They're doing a celebration for her, but she's going to see this on Monday or Tuesday. And so I thought we would just get really loud to cheer for my mom for her retirement. Come on, somebody, let's do it right now. Happy retirement, Mom. You are the best. Woo! Love it. I can't talk about it. I'll cry. All right. So we're going to move on. But we're starting this brand new series today called Fight, Fight, Fight. And I just want to get you in the mood. And so I just need you to fist punch the air and say, fight, fight, fight. Some of you kept going. I like it. All I'm trying to do is get you out of churchy mode into Rocky mode. All right. And so I want to open up this series with a question. And, I know you're going to want to lie about your answer. I can see it in your churchy eyes. You're going to want to lie about this. And I just want to remind you, you are in church. And if you lie about this, your mansion in heaven is going to go into foreclosure. Okay. So tell the truth, people. How many of you have ever, and I mean ever, gotten into a physical fight and your siblings count? Raise your hand, raise your fist. Let me see it. Keep them up. Look around. Listen, I knew we were a sinful group of people. I didn't know it was that bad, all right? I got my work cut out for me. Now, I'm going to tell you a story, and before I tell you this, I feel like I should just say, if there's any kids in the room, I just need to say this. Look up here, children in the room, because I don't need your parents email me after church today. Fighting is bad. Don't do it. But I may have gotten in a physical fight in 6th grade, okay? Now, let me kind of explain the situation. The funny thing to me is I went to public school until 6th grade. And then I went to Christian school in 6th grade. I never got in a fight in public school. Everybody was friendly there. It took me going to Christian school to get into a fight, people. And listen, Christian school kids are mean. As a Christian school kid in 6th grade, you had to show up with the full armor of God on. I'm talking about like brass knuckles, a billy club. You know, it was crazy. All right. So, my fight I got into in 6th grade was against a guy named Jordan. Jordan, if you happen to be watching this, buddy, I got to tell the story, man. And so we were out at recess in front of the school. We were playing football, and Jordan may have been saying some sinful things to me. And I may have thrown the football at his head. The next thing you know, all right, these 2 Christian school kids, we are on the ground. We are throwing down. Fists are flying. We're pulling each other's shirts. All these kids, these Christian school kids are surrounding us cheering because Christian school kids, you know. And when the dust settled, okay, there were bloody noses. My shirt collar, you could have stretched it to Shelville. All the middle school girls saw how strong we were, so they were asking us out. Just kidding, that didn't happen. But at the end of the fight, listen, I'm telling the story. So I won the fight. And after that happened, I had a reputation around school. Like, Joel is a fighter. You do not mess with Joel. You mess with the bull, you're going to get the horns. Jordan right now, he's typing in the comments. He's like, I remember this so differently, okay? Like, I totally whooped you, and he probably did. I'm just telling the story, Jordan. And by the way, me and Jordan, we graduated together. We were friends after this. It was just like a moment that we had. But I tell you that story because if you mess with the pastor bull, I'm just kidding. You're not going to get the horns. I'm a lover. I'm not a fighter. They won't even let me on the safety team around here, okay? So I'm like giving out hugs. How many of you you're a lover, not a fighter? Yeah, we should all hug after the service together, all right? You know? But I tell you that story for real. That story really happened. But I tell you that because life is a fight sometimes. Isn't that true? Life is a battle sometimes. I think there's this myth in Christianity that if I just say yes to Jesus, then everything in my life is yes and amen. And I get raises all the time. And if you're single, you know, you get dates with these hot people who love Jesus all the time. And if you're a football fan, your football team always wins. All the New York Jets fans are like, huh? What? How do we get that to work? But you all know that being a Jesus follower doesn't mean that life is full of wins. It's not always full of raises. There's not always a quarter in your grocery cart at Aldi over here ahead of time. You know what I mean? Being a Jesus follower means that life is sometimes a fight. And I don't know about you, but I feel like everything is fighting for my attention. I feel like everything is fighting for my health. Everything's fighting for my family. Everything's fighting for my mind. Everything's fighting for my soul. Everything's fighting for my time. Okay, everybody in my house is fighting for my chocolate chip energy bars I like to eat on Sunday morning. Those are my children. They steal my energy bars, okay? But life is a fight. And so I just want to encourage you with this today, and we'll put this on the screen. If you're going to fight for anything, fight for your faith and fight for what's right. If you're going to fight for anything, fight for your faith and fight for what's right. I love what a guy named Paul said in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7. And we'll put this up there. He says, which by the way, if you don't have a Bible, we tell you this every Sunday, we have free Bibles. We now have included large print Bibles in the options out there. Yes. How many of you know you need a microscope for the old Bibles? We got some large print out there, so old folks, high fives, all right? And I'm with you. Right now, I need my magnifiers. Anyway, so this is what Paul said. He said, I have fought the good fight. Everybody said the good fight. I fought the good fight. I have finished the race, and I have remained faithful. I remain faithful. Now, maybe you're like, okay, what does some guy who writes in the Bible know about life being a fight? So let me tell you about Paul and when he wrote this, and we have a picture of Paul we'll put up on the screen. All right, this is ChatGPT Paul. So ChatGPT Paul, when he wrote 2 Timothy, he's literally in a Roman dungeon. So everybody say dungeon. It's like a prison where he is literally chained to a stone wall. It's dark, it's dank. You could even say it is a basement. And he's in this basement. A little fun fact about where Paul was. A few years later, they were building the Roman Colosseum within steps of where he was in this dungeon. And his chains are still there. It's cool. You can go see Paul's Roman chains. But anyway, Paul, this is what we just read about the good fight. This is the last thing that Paul wrote before Nero cut Paul's head off. Now, question for you. Do you think Paul knows a little bit about life being a fight? 100%. And he said in the end, he said, I fought the good fight. And I stayed faithful through it all. And I don't know about you, but I want to get to the end of my life and look back at my life and say, hey, I got beat up in life. I got some scars. I got some bruises. All right. I had my neck, crew neck part pulled all the way to Shellville, but I stayed faithful. I fought for Jesus. I fought to the end and I finished the race. And I kind of feel like that's what my mom did a little bit today. I love you, Mom. And so here's the thing. If you want to finish the race and stay faithful through it all, just say, I'm going to fight for that. I'm going to fight for that. That's what I want. Okay. And so my goal today is super simple. I just want to give you, and we'll put this on the screen. I want to give you 3 ways to fight for your faith by fighting for your heart. Now, here's why I brought up your heart. Proverbs 4:23 says this. It says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Now, I just highlighted the whole thing. I'm like, this is all worth highlighting right here, okay? And basically what is being said here is if you're willing to fight to guard your heart, it'll change who you become 5 months from today, 5 years from today, and 5 decades from today. And so if you want to know what your future looks like, don't look at your horoscope. Don't go to a psychic, okay? If you want your dating life to be in a better spot, let's say 5 months from now, look at your heart. If you want your family to be in a better spot 5 years from today, 5 decades from today, look at your heart. If you want your fight against that stinking thing that just keeps pulling you down, if you want that to be in a better place 5 years from now, look at your heart. If you want your generosity to be in a better place 5 years from now, look at your heart. If you want your marriage to be in a better place 5 years from now, look at your heart. If you want your mental health and your spiritual health to be in a better place 5 years from today, look at your heart. Because Paul says, above all else, guard your heart, for it determines the course of your life. I said Paul said that. He didn't. That was in Proverbs. Okay, so don't worry about that little detail. But I want to give you 3 fighting tips today. Can you okay with 3 fighting tips? In the back, give me a little fist bump if you're good with it. Okay, I like that. All right, first one today is this. Fight for your heart by knocking out sin with confession. Fight for your heart by knocking out sin with confession. Now, I'm gonna confess something to you right now. And I hope you're on board with me on this. A Dairy Queen Blizzard, Reese Cup Blizzard, I'm going to call it the greatest dessert of all time, but I will allow it if you just put it in your top 10. Can I get an amen from somebody? Glory to God. Is anybody feeling the spirit right now? I love a Dairy Queen Blizzard. Now, this is the bad thing about getting older, all right? I'm 42 years old. If I eat one Dairy Queen Blizzard, it's 17 days of work to work that mess off, okay? And so, I like to eat Dairy Queen Blizzards 2 at a time. That's 34 days of soup broth just to work that stuff off. So I allow myself about one Dairy Queen Reese Cup Blizzard a year, and I had my Blizzard for the year last month. And what happened was we were in Ocean City, and my boy Nixon, he plays flag football in Ocean City. And that night, we were in Ocean City, me and Nixon. My wife and Nora were in Selbyville because Nora plays field hockey. So we were dividing and conquering. Parents, how many of you know about the dividing and conquering life? Single parents, you all are heroes. I don't know how you do it. You all are heroes. But we were kind of split up. And so after Nixon's football game, Nixon says to me, he's like, Dad, can we go get Dairy Queen Blizzards? And I said, let me think about it. Yes. Yes, we can. Then I was like, wait. If we do this without your mom and Nora, we can't ever tell them. If we come home with empty Dairy Queen Blizzard cups, may the Lord have mercy on our souls, Nixon. And Nixon, I was like, we can't tell him. And Nixon's a little sinner. Listen, you've got kids, you know they are, all right? And he was like, I'll take it to the grave, Dad. I'll take it to the grave. True story. All right, we go to Dairy Queen. We're sitting in my RAV4 in the cover of darkness, eating our Blizzards, and we're looking around to make sure that Stacy and Nora have not pulled up. And it gets worse. When we got home, I made sure I threw the empty Dairy Queen Blizzard cups in the outside trash. You're not going to put it in the inside trash. That's a rookie move. You put it on the outside trash. And I went to bed, and I felt great about my choice. The next morning, Nixon, I'm not kidding, Nixon said to me, he's like, Dad, you didn't tell Mom, did you? We're still lying about the Blizzards, right? I was like, Joel, you're really nailing this thing. You're really... Way to be a pastor, Pastor Dad, Joel. And I felt bad. I did not feel bad enough to tell Stacy, though. But over the next week, it ate me alive. By the end of the week, I was a shell of a man. I mean, in my head, all I heard was like, liar, liar, pants on fire. And so I felt so bad. So finally, this is not a lie. I said, Stacy, we got to talk. A week later. And so I was like, and I knew this is a big, listen, you lie about Dairy Queen Blizzards to your spouse. This is dangerous territory. And so I was like, Stacy, last week, she's like, last week. I'm like, last week, me and Nixon, we got Blizzards without you. And she's like, Joel, how could you do this? And listen, we're working through it. We have a therapist. I mean, I think we're going to be okay. But it was a fight to confess that to her. And here's what I know. Unconfessed sin is like carrying around Dairy Queen Blizzard weight, like 50 pounds of it all day, every day. It's a lot. And if that's true about Dairy Queen Blizzards, we all know it's true about real life stuff. But here's the thing. God gave us a gift. It's the gift of confession. And confession's aftertaste is almost as good as a blizzard. And let me show you something. This is in James chapter 5, verse 16. This is so good. James, the brother of Jesus, says, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be what? Healed. Not hurt. Not embarrassed. Not triggered. Which is my least favorite word in the English language. That's a personal thing. Okay. Healed. Healed. Now, nobody wants to confess our stuff. All right. And if you like to confess, you are a weirdo. It is a fight to confess. Okay. But I think confession, unconfessed sin is kind of like, we're in a basement. Let's call it like mold. Not in this basement. Okay. Not in this basement. All right. But everybody say mold. Mold, it grows in the dark, right? And it dies in the what? In the light. And that's how unconfessed sin is, okay? It grows in the dark, but you confess that thing. It's like I'm going to put my iPhone flashlight out. It's not very bright. You see that? You see that? Listen, you got to put a flashlight on your unconfessed sin. You got to light it up. Like if you got some bad blood against somebody in your life, you got to put the flashlight on that thing and make a phone call and talk to them. Text them. Sit down with them. You have bitterness in your life. Okay. You need to expose that. Put the flashlight on that bitterness. Just get it out. Okay. If you have, that secret sin you've been dealing with since 1987, put a flashlight on it and watch that Dairy Queen Blizzard melt, baby. Just watch it melt. Okay. Light up the things in our life that we are trying to hide, because confession has a way of breaking the power of sin in our lives. And recovery has this spot on saying, and the saying is, you're only as sick as your secrets. You're only as sick as your secrets. So, what do we do? Okay, how do we confess this kind of stuff? Well, let me tell you what not to do. I don't want you to go home and get on Facebook and put it out there, all your criminal activity, to your favorite 998 people. You know, like, oh, I remember that time in 1994 when we rolled Troop 5 over here. And I steal, Bay Shore pens out of my church every single Sunday. We know. Just tell the person that you need to tell, not the whole world, okay? And there's certain points, like I needed to tell Stacy that thing, and we need to tell our spouses everything, whether they know the thing that we've done or not, okay? But certain times you don't need to tell the person if they don't know it yet. Like you don't need to go to your clueless mother-in-law that you've not been able to stand for years and say, hey, I haven't liked you for 17 years. And I still don't, but I feel better, and walk away. Don't do that. That is not what you do. Confess it to the people who need to know, okay? And if you have somebody who doesn't need to know, but you find an accountability partner who's going to walk you out of that in a godly way and give you godly advice on what to do. And here's another thing. Every single night before you go to bed, you should lay in your bed and you should just confess it all to God. You say, God, I'm going to tell you everything I did wrong today. And you need to carve out some time for this, people. There's listen, Jerry, a lot of time, bro. No offense, Jerry. Okay. But you say, God, I'm sorry. This is exactly what I did. I'm not going to do that anymore. Help me walk out of that. I'll repent. I'm turning away from that. And here's the good news. He will forgive you 100% of the time. And how do you fight for your heart? You confess your sin. You knock out sin with confession. I know it's not an easy one, but are you guys with me? It's there to heal you, not to hurt you. All right, here's another thing. Fight for your heart by knocking out hurt with forgiveness. Now, I'm going to tell you or show you something in a second. Just wait 1 second. This is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. Have you ever found an old picture of you or your friends that should never, ever, ever see the light of day again? Has it ever happened to you before? Okay, I found one last week, and I'm going to show it to you, but you cannot laugh, Bob. I heard you already. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody can laugh. Everybody can laugh at this. All right, let's put this picture up here. Okay, around the year 2000, me and my friends had a 1980s themed prom party. And you guys didn't do this in the year 2000? Anyway, maybe it's just me and my crew. And I don't know if you know, can you see me in this picture? I'm in it. You're like, well, there's nobody who's bald in this picture. Well, kind of my friend. This is another friend. I'm right here with the Tom Selleck mustache and the sunglasses up there. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of comments that I'm not going to want to hear about this. But here's the thing. Back in the day, I had such a giant friend group. Like, we did everything together, and I think that's what happens when you're like 20. Like, you just have all these friends, and a lot of these folks I've, kind of lost contact with, and some of them I haven't. But I had a giant group of friends, and one of my good friends from around this period is not in this picture, because around this time of my life, him and I had a falling out. Now, I know some of you are like nosy Rosie, and you're like, so what happened? Tell us the story. Wouldn't you like to know? Wouldn't you like to know? I'm not going to tell you. I will tell you, it was a big enough deal that I almost got into the second physical fight of my life over this. And so it was like, man, I was like, hurt by this whole situation. And I was justified. You know when you're right? Man, it feels good. I was right. And it kind of made a mess in our whole friend group. And, Dave Ramsey says this when we get ourselves in a messy situation. He says we're like a toddler in a poopy diaper. We're like, hey, I know it's a mess, but it's my mess and it's warm and we just like to sit in it. Come on, that's funny. That is funny. And true. So I was sitting in my poopy diaper. It was my mess. It was warm. It was good. 2 years. 2 years. Me and this friend, we did not talk. And so one day I was in Millsboro. And I was at the intersection of Route 113 and 24. And in my rearview mirror, guess whose vehicle I see? My friend, my ex-friend. And next thing I know, my Nokia cell phone, I got a text, and it was him. And he said, hey, you want to talk? And I texted back, this video is what I sent back.
Please, no! 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 No!
Okay. Back with Nokia cell phones, you couldn't send videos. But this is how I was feeling. I was feeling like Michael Scott. But I wrote back. I was like, okay. So we pulled over to Gulab's Tires right on the corner. And on a hot summer night, we sat on the curb and we talked for a long time. At the end of the conversation, he said to me, hey, man, will you forgive me? And I said, yeah. But I said, at this point, I need to ask you to forgive me too, because I've said some messed up stuff about you over the last 2 years. Will you forgive me? And he said, I will. And here's what happened. We stood up off that curb, and for the first time in 2 years, I felt 1,000 pounds lighter. We could have went to Dairy Queen for months. Wouldn't have made a dent. And here's what I learned on that curb. Hurt is heavy. And sometimes you don't even know how heavy it is until you let it go. And here's what else I learned. Sometimes when someone else hurts you, you project your hurt on other people. Because isn't it true that hurt from your past has a way of showing up in how you hurt the people in your present that you love the most? Now, I know some of you are like, well, Joel, I don't hurt people I love. When I get hurt, you're the only one fighting everybody, it sounds like. You're the one doing this. And we're glad you're here, the angel Gabriel. But when you are carrying around hurt, do you know who you are hurting? You. You're hurting yourself. And so I just want to gently encourage you, you got to let that poison go. You got to let that poison go if you want to get that joy back in your life. Now, here's the other kickback. You might say, well, they don't deserve forgiveness. I bet they don't. Listen, I could tell you some stories about people who don't deserve forgiveness. You take a seat. Oh, you're already in a seat. I'll get a seat. I'll just tell you all kinds of stories in my life. No, nobody wants to hear all that. But sometimes you forgive people not to let them free, but you forgive people to let you free. And you've probably heard this before, but there's a saying that unforgiveness is like you drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. It doesn't work. And so Ephesians 4, verse 27 says this. The devil. Now here's what's interesting. In the original Greek, this word foothold is a climbing term. It means to climb up. In other words, don't let the devil climb up into your heart. Hello. And so here's how this can easily happen then. We'll put this on the screen. We get angry, then we get bitter, then we carry unforgiveness, then we hurt the people we love. Does anybody really want this? No, nobody wants this. And so what do? When anger pops up in your life like a stinking weed, you need to pick that stinker and throw it to the mulch bed. How many of you, come on, let me see these people who like just hate, oh my God. It is spiritual warfare, people. And so maybe you know this about me, but this is true. I have a life motto. I live and die by this rule in my life. My rule when it comes to weeds is if I see a weed in my house, I got to pick the weed. See a weed, pick a weed. See a weed, pick a weed. You can make a jingle out of it. See a weed, pick a weed. Okay. And I'm serious about this. If I see a weed, I have to stop whatever I'm doing and pick it. If I am being arrested at my house, which I have not been, okay, don't worry about that. But if like the police are taking me out of my house, I'm in handcuffs, and I see a dandelion, I'm going to ask him if you can uncuff me. I got to get that weed. I see the weed. I got to pick the weed. And I'm not kidding. I have a 99% weed-free house. Okay, there's like 99% of my mulch beds do not have weeds in them. Now it would be at 100% if anybody else in my family would like to participate in this game. But I'm the only one, all right? They're living this 99%, weeds in the mulch bed free life, and I'm just like over here working. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm not hurt about it. I'm not bitter. But here's my point. Treat anger like weeds. When it pops up in your life, you just pick that thing. And when it pops up again, pick it. Throw it to Jupiter. Pick it. You're going to spend your lifetime picking these weeds, but you don't want that anger to climb up into your heart. Okay, so like when you're on Facebook and you see somebody post something and you get angry, come on, how many of you gotten angry? You've seen some stuff, all right, and you're ready to pick a fight, which never works. It's never going to work, by the way. Instead of picking a fight, pick yourself up, walk outside, take a breath. You see your coworker who they're not working, they're playing Wordle, and you're over there grinding. You're like, I'm going to pick up the phone, I'm going to call HR. No, just pick yourself up, do what you're supposed to do. You do you, boo. And you do those things, okay? And so ask yourself, is there anyone I need to forgive? Is there anger climbing up into my heart? And if there is, how do you fight for your heart? You fight for your heart by knocking out hurt with forgiveness. Although you got through the hard ones. Listen, pat yourself on the back. You got through the 2 hard ones? Okay, this is the easy one. All right, last one. Fight for your heart by celebrating other people's victories. Now, let's go back to Ocean City, to the scene of the crime, where we had the Dairy Queen blizzard. I was in Ocean City, like I said, because my boy Nixon was playing flag football, and Nixon is good at flag football. Like, I know I'm biased, I'm his parent, but I also am on the sidelines around the other parents and grandparents, and none of us really know whose kids who's out there. And so I can hear the other parents and grandparents saying when they see Nixon, they're like, oh my goodness, whose kids is that? It's like Saquon Barkley out there. Like, what is... So good. And I'm over there thinking like, he's mine. I don't know. But when we're trying to have him, I drank a lot of Mountain Dew. It's paid off. My boy's got some wheels. He can run fast. Okay. And so anyway, he scores almost every single time when he plays. And so at home, sometimes he pre-plans his touchdown celebrations. But he never does his touchdown celebrations. He just plans them out. Okay. And so let me give you an example. Let's throw this video on the screen. All right, you're going to see Nixon. There's Nixon. Watch this. Come on. Whoop. 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 Come on. No celebration. He had planned a whole celebration. He did not celebrate. Now, do you know who was celebrating? Me, I'm on the sidelines. I'm pushing over trash cans, kicking old grannies over. I'm just like, come on. And here's the thing. If you want a happier heart, celebrate other people's victories. Because sometimes what we do is we compare to other people instead of celebrating other people, all right? And when we compare ourselves to other people versus celebrating other people's victories, the twins show up. Jealousy and envy. And you know how you give jealousy and envy a black eye? You celebrate other people's victories instead of comparing with other people's victories. Okay, so here's, and by the way, let me say this. Sometimes you got to pre-plan your celebration. for their victories. Okay. Oh, what was that? You got another raise at work? Is that your third one this year? Let me cabbage patch that. Come on, just celebrate it. Your kids listen to you the first time you ask them to do something? Yes. You know, or like, hey, you got George Clooney's hair jeans? Oh, yes. You know, and just, your Pittsburgh Steelers won again. Just kidding. There's a line somewhere, and that's the line. Cut it off right there. But comparison is the thief of joy. And there's a great story about comparison. I'm going to end with this. It's in the Gospel of John, and it's surrounding a guy named Peter. And Peter is my favorite disciple. And I know you're not supposed to compare with other people. I'm just talking to you about that. But when I compare myself to Peter, I feel a little bit better. Peter is this guy who just does a big piece of stupid every single time you see him in the Bible, and he makes me feel better about myself. And so this is one of those stories, and we have a picture that we have a chat GPT, Peter and Jesus we'll put up here. There it is, all right. And Jesus and Peter are having this serious conversation. And in the Gospel of John, basically, Jesus says to Peter, he's like, hey, when you grew up, you used to be able to do whatever you wanted. When you were little, you used to wear whatever you wanted. You used to do whatever you wanted. But he said, there's a day coming where you're going to get older and you're going to be under other people's control. They are going to dress you and they are eventually going to execute you for following me. You're going to die for being a Jesus follower. Now, that's a serious conversation. And if you're Peter, you're probably thinking I thought the joy of the Lord is my strength. What are we talking about, Jesus? And so Peter, he starts flailing. He's wigging out about this whole conversation, and he's looking around, and he sees John in the background. Now, John's not in this picture, but let's say John is over here. And, let's say he's over here, and Peter can see John over there. And Peter's like, wait, if I'm going to die a horrible death, what about John? I mean, I can't be the only one dying a terrible death. How can we take John out? It can't just be me. What about John? And I love what Jesus, and I'm sure John's overhearing this, eavesdropping, you dirty dog, Pete. What are you doing? But I love what Jesus says. Jesus gets real sassy with him. And in John chapter 21, verses 22, this is how Jesus replied to Peter. He said, if I want him, speaking of John, to remain alive until I return, what is that to you? As for you, follow me. In other words, Jesus is like, whatever I do in someone else's life, that's none of your concern. You should just be concerned about following me. And I don't know if this is just for me. This is maybe just for me. I don't know. But this week I've been thinking, all right, when I'm looking at other people's blessings that God's given them in their life, I need to say, what's that to me? Oh, their work-life balance is way better than mine. What's that to me? Oh, they're driving down Route 1. They got so much money in their Bentley. They're blowing $100 bills, their notes with $100 bills thrown out the window. What is that to me? They're working out, never, and they're eating McDonald's all the time, and they got a 6-pack. I'm working out 6 times a week. I got a 1-pack. What is that to me? What is that to me? And we can celebrate it, or we can compare with it. And I don't know about you, but I want to fight to celebrate other people's victories in their life. I want to fight so that when they are going through something positive in their life, when they're having a blessing in their life, I can say, hey, that's amazing. Good for you. Come on. And what are we doing? We are fighting to guard our heart. And so here's your homework this week. All right. You have 3 options. You can do 1 of these, 2 of these, or all 3 of these if you want bonus points. All right, here it is. Let's just kind of work through what we worked on today. Number 1, you can confess it and give hiding it a black eye. You can forgive them and give her a haymaker. Or you can celebrate their victories and pile drive comparison into the emergency room. Why? Because we're not just fighting for our heart. We're fighting for our life. This is what Proverbs, remember that we started with this, Proverbs 4:23. Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. If you're with me, just say fight, fight, fight.